Hello, everyone. Welcome. I am Juliana Herlar. I'm a registered therapeutic counselor, a quantum human design specialist, and someone who loves all things psychology, gene keys, human design. And I bring my insight to these three things and how they come together. So today we're going to be talking about gene key or gate 27, which moves into the sun on April 22nd. This is the gate of accountability or nourishment or caring, and it is the gene key of selfishness or altruism on the gift level. So this gate or gene key is really all about maintaining the tribe, maintaining community, making sure that everyone is okay so that the community can thrive. On the higher expression of this gate or gene key, we really look at this idea of altruism or this selflessness in giving, in taking care of people. It's really about having an intention and clarity while you're giving to someone else, while you're supporting someone else. And what I mean by this is it's like you're giving from a full cup. You yourself have been able to give to yourself and fill yourself up. And thus when you give, it's coming from this pure place from your heart. Like you want to give, you have the energy to give. Richard Rudd puts this gift, he calls it the pod mind, and he likens it to a pod of dolphins. And they communicate telepathically, energetically, however dolphin magical creatures that they are communicate. And what happens for them is that when one of their members is not doing well, whether they are struggling or are in danger, the entire pod knows this, and they all move towards helping that individual. So it's this idea that the whole is there to support the individual. But it's as if the whole is there to support the individual, but the whole knows that the individual is completely capable. It empowers the individual to remember the truth of who they are, remember that they have that strength, and sometimes we all need help and support. So it's not taking away the empowerment of the individual, it's going, we are all integral to this whole because each of us brings something unique and individual, which creates the magic of this whole pod together. And sometimes we all need help. And so when we can hold up that individuality, the uniqueness for the one in the whole, that's where this altruism really thrives and what we're moving towards. So as a reminder, what this is all about when we look at the shadow and the gift, or the lower expression and the higher expression, is that we, in order to evolve, we need to we need to move through the low expression of ourselves, or the shadow of ourselves, or what we are working through, because there's a lot of gifts in the shadow, and we don't leapfrog or jump over the lessons that we're here to learn as human beings, right? So this idea of altruism is very beautiful. It's very idealistic. And I mean, I'm a total idealist. I remember my dad calling me that at like 9 or 10 years old. I've held that my whole life. I believe in the truth and the love of humanity. And we need to explore the shadow sides of our psyches, of ourselves, in order to bring them along with us. So on the lower expression of this gate or gene key, we look at this, what Richard Rudd calls selfishness. And, you know, selfishness is sometimes seen as this, it's got a negative association with it. Right? Like, I'm sure we've all heard it as children. Don't be selfish, you know, think about others. And yes, on this low expression, we do have this selfishness that can be detrimental to us as human beings. And it expresses itself in two ways. The first way is where we don't have any boundaries at all, where we give and give and give to others without filling up our own cup. And in this first expression of this selfishness, and this lower expression of selfishness, is that while you're giving from an empty cup, there's also this like hook. It's like, if I give this to you, maybe I'll get something in return, or even maybe I will then feel loved. I'll prove my love. Right? I'm going to give to this person, and then I'm going to maybe I'll get their love back. Maybe I will feel worthy. Right? So there's this on the low side, right? Like, I'm sure on some level we've all felt that. I know I have, when I've, I'm like, I don't know, with my partner, I'll be like, I'm going to clean the house. And this comes from my childhood. I'm going to clean the house, and then he'll know how much I love him. Right? There's a hook in there. I'm not just cleaning the house because I want to clean the house and I want to live in a clean house. It's like, I'm going to prove my value by cleaning my house and making sure it's all tidy and clean when he gets home. It doesn't really bother him all that much, right? That's coming from me because I developed this as a child, right? I need to prove my value by making sure my house is all neat and tidy. So on the, and before I move on, this first expression of selfishness, it often ends in us feeling resentful. Right? I think all of us probably have had a time in our lives where we feel resentment, and it's because we're giving and we're giving and we're giving. And Brene Brown shared this beautiful video around how resentment is linked with envy, because then we're not getting what we're giving, and so we feel envious of not receiving what we're giving. And we're doing it because we're doing this act out of a selfish desire to have something. Okay, so the second expression of selfishness is in a, Richard Rudd puts it, in a self-centered way. It is giving with an agenda. It's often a covert, underground agenda that maybe other people don't notice. It can also be linked to manipulation. If I do this, then I will get something in return. I'm going to manipulate the population. And this we often see in politics, right? There are all of these promises that are given to the public, and then politicians, they give these things because they say these things because they know the public wants it, so that they receive the votes, so that they're in that leadership space, and then they don't follow through. And that's manipulating. So through both of these shadow sides, right, of selfishness, it's also important for us to be selfish sometimes. And this is where I go through, we need to move through the shadow of it. So if, for example, we don't know how to be selfish, that we have been raised and we have spent our life over giving to people, right? In that first example of where we give and we give and we give with a hook, right? Or we feel a sense of guilt or shame of who we are, so we want to prove ourselves. If we are giving from this empty cup, on some level, we need to turn the attention back to ourselves and find a level of putting ourselves first so that we can fill our cup, so that we can give first to ourselves what we need, so that when we're giving, when we're extending ourselves to other people, it's coming from a place that is fully heart-centered. There are no hooks involved. There is no desire to get something in return. So I'd like to invite you to start looking at what your hooks might be, right? Because remember, we need to look at how this lower expression of caring for other people comes out and expresses itself for us, so that we can step into that really heart-centered place of giving. So what I often give to my clients is to start noticing the hooks. Where are you messaging someone, calling someone, doing something for someone in order to feel better about yourself or have them say the same thing back? A really great example of this is saying I love you because you want that person to say I love you because you're worried that they don't love you and you want to hear it. You need to hear it to help fill you up. Right? That's often one of the ways that it plays out a lot. I love you, and then it's like that kind of pregnant pause where you're waiting to hear it back. And then when you do it, just because you're feeling it fully in your heart space and you just genuinely want that person to know that you love them, that is that altruistic expression of this gate or gene key. I love you. Right? It's just coming from here. There's no pause where you're kind of waiting. Are they going to say it back? Can they say it back? I need to hear it right now because I'm not feeling great about myself. So first, starting to notice the hooks. Notice how they manifest for you, where they might happen. And then turning it back on yourself. So you notice the hook, and then you ask yourself, oh, there's a hook there. Okay, what do I need in this space? Why am I looking for something outside? What do I need in here? What am I looking for? Okay, so that's step number 2. And then step number 3 is asking yourself, what can I do for myself right now so that I can fulfill this need that I have inside? Okay, and often what we need is to create space for ourselves. If it has to do with the value, how can you value yourself in that moment? If it has to do with looking for love, how can you love yourself in that moment? Often our bodies, always our bodies, but often one of the things that works is by putting a hand on your heart and a hand on your stomach and breathing and taking about 10 focused breaths here. And the contact with your heart and your stomach, it realigns the nervous system and it brings your heart into more of a coherent, energetic resonance so that you can land back into this heart-centered space. So you can direct that desire for love and you're looking for it outside of yourself, and you turn it back on you. And then when you start practicing this, then you'll start noticing these times where those gifts, where the full expression of giving, of altruism, is fully expressed there. I think the closest I've come to hearing about altruism potentially is in Alcoholics Anonymous, in AA, where their whole system is based on one person comes in, they are seen, the truth of them is seen, and then they get, someone approaches them to work with them as a mentor, just a support, like, you can do this. And then once that person is feeling stronger in themselves, then they also in return give back to a newer member. And that really is a beautiful demonstration of how first you need to be full inside of you before you can give back from your heart without any hooks, without any looking for something. So I encourage you to just start noticing your hooks, and then notice where you do give selflessly from your heart. And remembering that sometimes it's important to be selfish. Like, selfishness isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes, especially where we are in our evolution, it's very important for us to know what we need so we can take care of ourselves, so that we as a whole can evolve to build these communities that I know a lot of people want, right? Where there aren't people who are left out on the street or who are starving, right? We really need to, in order to give to the community, we need to take care of ourselves first. We need to clean up our side of the street so that we can then go and support other people from a clean space without any hooks involved. So this is the gate or gene key 27, and it goes into the sun on the 22nd, April 22nd, and it'll be there for 5 or 6 days. So it's a good time where it really illuminates this for people. You might notice it, you might not. So as always, drop me a line and let me know how this lands for you. Let me know if it resonates, and wishing you well.